BYEpocalypse. It's week 12. We've got 45 wideouts ranked and tiered amidst these uncertain times. So before Sunday, let's break down these wide receiver rankings for week 12 of the 2024 NFL season. Welcome to E&M Fantasy Football, presented by ErvinandM.com, where I combine industry-leading data, Vegas sportsbooks, and expert analysis to provide you with optimal weekly rankings for the utmost accuracy when setting your weekly lineups in your fantasy football league. I'm writing this on Wednesday night for Thursday's video. Expect more videos every week for the other unit groupings like running back, quarterback, and tight end. Click the playlist for all the updated rankings for week 12. To start off, the top 45 wide receivers this week, full PPR. The BYEpocalypse has 6 teams out, so no Falcons, no Bills, Bengals, Saints, Jets, or Jags. Wideouts are at an all-time low for productivity. Pay attention, the rankings get pretty flat pretty quick. We begin with 80 or more. It's the S tier. Amon-Ra St. Brown. For 7-point favorites, 50 total, one of the highest of the week. 78 over-under, only 68 yards per game. They get Indianapolis, 26th worst pass defense. Could be a repeat of last week. A.J. Brown, 3-point favorites, 49 total, 80 over-under, 88 yards per game, and he gets the 22nd ranked Rams pass defense. Justin Jefferson, 79 over-under, but 91 yards per game. He faces Chicago this week. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They get a stout Philly secondary, but it's going to be a close game with a high total. 76 over-under for Puka, 73 over-under for Kupp, 74 yards per game for Puka, 81 yards per game for Kupp. No problems. And Nico Collins.
Hallelujah.
They're 8-point favorites. The total's okay. 67 yards, 67 over-under, but 103 yards per game facing Tennessee. These guys are the only ones projected by sportsbooks to go anywhere near 80 yards. This is the highest amount for Week 12. They are your elite S-tier wideouts. A-tier begins with the other elite wide receivers. Vegas has these wideouts projected for 60 to 70 receiving yards each. And at 7, we'll kick it off with Ladd McConkey. I mean, this is pretty simple. Herbert and Ladd in their last 4 games look amazing. Baltimore is worst in the league at defending the pass. The point total is enormous at 50. I mean, it's a 61 over-under, but it's been 87 yards in his last 4 games with Herbie. Lock him in. DK Metcalf at 8. 64 over-under, but 80 yards per game. Same story for Metcalf. Seahawks were just dethroned as the number 1 passing offense, but at second best, they're going to put in work against the Cardinals. Bottom 21 pass defense in a close game with a high point total. And Jawan Jennings at 9. 60 over-under, 73 yards per game. I mean, it's out with the old and in with the new. And Jennings remains the most productive wideout that they have. Green Bay is above average at 13th, but the close spread and high point total is the game script you want for offensive weapons, and Jennings is up there behind CMC and Kittle. Tyreek Hill at 10. 68 over-under, only 52 yards per game. I mean, I'll be honest. His wrist ligament injury is concerning. But at the end of the day, Vegas says he'll be fine. Better than expected, to be honest. It's a divisional game, but New England is 20th against the pass and one of the worst offenses. It's a great total where Miami is favored by a whole touchdown. GL. Terry McLaurin at 11. I mean, 60 over-under, 65 yards per game. Exact same story for Terry. Sans the wrist injury. They're huge favorites at 10 points. Nice total. And Dallas is 19th against the pass. I mean, you're not worried. CeeDee Lamb, 60 over under, 77 yards per game, but only 54 in the last 3. This is where it starts to get a little dicey. Cooper Rush was better last week in getting their best playmaker the ball. Ferguson being out will provide less options for Cooper. So the real concern, though, is that they face the Cardinals' 5th best secondary. Pretty scary. There'll be a lot of garbage time in this game. GL. Mike Evans at 13. 66 over under, 48 yards per game. I mean, at the time of writing, it is not confirmed that Evans will play. He's been underwhelming in recent weeks. Vegas has some faith with that line this week, though, in spite of facing the Giants' 4th best back 7. The total's low, but they are 5-point favorites. And Malik Neighbors at 14. 62 over under, 76 yards per game. I mean, he's on the other side of the ball across from Mike. Neighbors would be higher if it wasn't for the Italian Stallion. I mean, Tommy DeVito at the most is a sideways play this week. The only shred of hope is the bottom 30 pass defense of the Buccaneers. The B tier begins with more starters, but with projections from, and pay attention here, 55 to 60. So it's the high 50s in receiving yards. I mean, this is where we're at, boys. The fall off is big and it is brutal. We'll kick it off with ErvinandM.com. ErvinandM.com is my company my best friend and I started in 2020. We literally make everything ourselves by hand. We have earrings, rings, necklaces, bracelets, tie clips, apparel, and more. Over a dozen curated gemstones and 100 handcrafted products. If you need a gift or something special for yourself, use the promo code in the description, find something you love, and buy it today. Now back to the video. If you like spending money and looking good, then visit my store. But if you don't, subscribe. It's free. We'll kick it off with George Pickens at 15. 55 over under, but 73 yards per game. His production over expected has been significant. He'd be higher if the total wasn't the lowest of the week. The Steelers are set to win by 3, but the total is a mere, get ready, 36 points. He's their best player, but like last week, all their points may just come exclusively from Boswell. JSN, 16. 55 over under, 68 yards per game. His average over expected has also been outstanding. He has a great matchup. His line is still decent as second fiddle, and that's what the number 2 passing team can do for wide receiver 2s and wide receiver 3s in an offense. Arizona is 21st against the pass. It's a close game with a nice total. Don't be scared. Zay Flowers at 17. 58 over under, 66 yards per game. I mean, the volatility with this guy is crazy. Everything is set for a positive game script for Zay, but so it's been for previous weeks. It's tough to predict. Scoring totals and lines are the ingredients you need for a fantasy point recipe. The only thing we can point at to keep them modest is the Chargers' 12th best secondary. Chargers have been on a tear. Josh Downs at 18. 58 over under, 63 yards per game. In spite of AR-15 bouncing back last week and Downs' production this season, they are 7-point dogs in this game with Detroit. Lions are 27th defending the pass, but the Colts could be in such negative game script that any impact just won't be felt. Devonta Smith at 19. 54 over under, 57 yards per game. He has a path this week. For whatever reason, the Hurts-Smith connection this year has been lackluster, to say the least. It's a close game with the Rams with a huge total. They're 22nd defending the pass. I mean, he can get it done. Send up a prayer. Cortland Sutton at 20. Vegas is burning. They have the 11th best pass defense, but Denver and Bo Nix have been on an absolute tear. They are 5-point favorites, so the script is good. However, the total at 40 is quite low. Sutton can still get home. Should be a modest showing to defeat the Raiders, though. And Deebo Samuel at 21. 57 over under, 54 yards per game. He's now the fourth look for Purdy. They are 2-point dogs, but a close game for a wideout is promising. I mean, the total's good. It should be a close slugfest. It is concerning, though, that they get the Packers' 13th pass defense. Calvin Ridley at 22. 60 over under, 54 yards per game. But not as concerning as facing Houston's
Today, Junior!
Facing Houston's sixth best secondary. As 8-point dogs with a low total at 41, I mean, he's played well in spite of his team. This matchup, though, is arguably the worst Ridley is going to have to face so far. Which brings us to C tier and more mediocrity. It's 50 to 55 yards. And we'll kick it off with Cedric Tillman at 23rd. 43 over under, but 75 yards per game. He deserves to be higher, but matchup dictates the majority of how we manage our rosters. And this total is abysmal. 36 total points in this borderline unwatchable game. I mean, nothing is more damning for his outlook this week than that. They are 3-point dogs against the just below average Steelers pass defense. I mean, there's a silver lining in there somewhere. Jameson Williams at 24. 51 over under, 67 yards per game. Honestly, this is a great matchup for Williams. It's the kind of environment to have a game like last week, even though J-Mo hasn't done much this season. Colts bottom 26 pass D, and being heavy favorites gives him a real chance, but it's still
Area.
Jaden Reed at 25. 47 over under, 64 yards per game. This is going to hurt for a lot of you, but Reed is outstanding. Love spreads the ball like Purdy in the Niners. That lack of volume lowers his ceiling, and the Niners' 8th best pass defense who they face this week hurts it even more. It'll be a close, high-scoring game, so he has a path. It's just tough to shine when you have so many viable options like the Packers do. DeAndre Hopkins at 26. 55 over under, 57 yards per game. I mean, we could see an Amon-Ra-esque performance with this 11-point spread, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Combine that with the Panthers' 24th best pass D, and this is Hopkins' best chance at outperforming his previous showings and showing all of us why they went out and got him. MHJ at 27. 54 over under, 50 yards per game. Kind of the same story, but for different reasons for MHJ. They need him in this one. The game is set for a high-scoring slugfest, and the Seahawks are league average against the pass. I mean, sadly, it's a coin flip for a wideout one performance versus the Connor Ertz Murray show. Tyler Lockett at 28. 50 over under, 47 yards per game. I mean, on the other side, Geno is continuing to give his core the best chances week to week to remain viable. Arizona's 21st pass D and the close game, as we mentioned above, give him a path in spite of being the 4th look behind KW3, Metcalf, and JSN. Jacoby Myers at 29. 52 over under, 57 yards per game. It's just about the worst case scenario for Myers. He's talented, but he'll face one of the best corners in the game and Denver's 7th best pass defense. They are 5-point dogs with a very low total. All the things that you don't want to hear for someone you may have to start. GL. Which brings us to D tier. We're officially depressed. These guys are your last viable options. They are projected for just 40 to 50 yards. We'll discuss some and move quickly. QJ, 45 over under, 44 yards per game. I mean, he's arguably in the best position out of this tier, which is why he finds himself at the beginning. They are 3-point dogs in this one. One of the highest scoring games of the week set at 50. Baltimore is league worst against the pass. I mean, you could do worse. Jerry Jeudy, 44 over under, 56 yards per game. Total is as bad as it could be. His performance with Jameis has been the best of his career, but to be honest, it's not saying much. Aside from Tillman and Njoku, you're not excited to start anybody on the Browns. Jalen Waddle at 32. 36 over under, 40 yards per game. I mean, Waddle has fell down so far for Tua. I mean, unfortunately, Achane, Hill, and Johnny Smith have taken all the looks, and Waddle has plummeted. The script is good, but the good total, heavy favorites facing the bad secondary, I mean, it still probably won't be enough. Tank Dell at 33. 45 over under, 45 yards per game. I mean, Dell has not panned out to be the Chase Higgins tandem everyone had hoped for. It's the Collins Mixon show in Houston, and what's more, they face the number one pass defense this week, GL. I'm going to go back-to-back with DJ Moore and Roma Dunze at 34 and 35. I mean, the only noteworthy takeaway is they face a bottom 28 secondary, but the total is brutal at 39. I mean, it's the second lowest of the week. You don't feel good about it. Wandale Robinson, 36. 40 over under, 39 yards per game. I mean, on one side, you have Tommy DeVito, and on the other side, you have the Bucs' 30th worst pass defense. It doesn't make you feel any better, though. The total's low. They're 5-point dogs. It's a no for me, dog. Christian Watson at 37. 43 over under, 43 yards per game. The upside is real, but the Packers' depth chart and scheme and the Niners' 8th best pass defense really lower all the pass catchers for Green Bay into a blender. And he's no exception. From here, though, it's less than 40 yards. It's RIP. It's the rest. Romeo Doubs, Jordan Addison, MPJ, Noah Brown, Xavier Legette, Pop Douglas. You know what I'm saying? Visit my store, buy something, use the promo code. Keenan Allen, it doesn't matter. Anyone left goes in here. I'll put your top wideouts full screen back on screen now. Thanks for staying to the end. It's quarterbacks and tight ends tomorrow, and if you missed the running backs, click the playlist for all the rankings this week. I sincerely hope this helps everyone watching. Subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can see all the videos each week before submitting your lineups. It's free, so it's a good value. But if you like looking good and spending money, then buy something from my store and watch some more videos.